talking about how you take what you're doing, taking that content you're creating, all that time and energy that you're spending to create this stuff. Well, how do you actually turn it into like leads, people that want to work with you? And really my thought about that is building a funnel, right? And I know we hear that term thrown around a lot these days. I think thanks probably mostly to Mr. Russell Brunson with ClickFunnels, right? And but I think it is so true, right? Like a lot of us may have websites, some may not even have a website, but but if you're going to start creating stuff on YouTube or a blog, you need to have some way to take them and direct them somewhere that's going to lead them into a conversation with you, right? So I want to talk a little bit about that idea and where you go from there. So let's say that you're now at the stage where you're creating content or you're creating something, right? And you want to be able to convert those people. So that's where we're going to start at. Pick up the call from today and talk a little bit about it. I'll show you some of my funnels that I've built because I think that'll be a little bit easier just to than talking about it. So I'll share my screen, kind of show you what I've done. And that way, if you've got questions about going into detail on them, I definitely can do that. And we will get into pixels because that's, for those that don't know what a pixel is yet, I for a long time didn't know what that was. And I kind of was like trying to stay clear of it just because I felt like it was overwhelming. I didn't want to get into it. But now it's always been pretty simple. It was just one of those like limiting beliefs. But I mean, now it's pretty simple to set up a pixel. It's basically a piece of code that you put on your website. You can put it on, like if you're here at EXP, we get a KV Core website and a CRM. So you can install that on your KV Core website. And I'll kind of show you a little bit about how that works. But once you install that code, basically what ends up happening is anytime somebody comes across your website, let's say they either choose to sign up as a client for you or not, you can then retarget them on Facebook by directing your ads strictly to those that have been already to your website, right? Versus just sending out ads to, random cold audience. You can, fine tune your audience and only send it to the people that have somewhat interacted with you already, right? So that's what a pixel basically does. It links up traffic that's going to your website to their Facebook profile. And that way, the next time they get on Facebook and they scroll their newsfeed, your ad will show up on their newsfeed. So that's kind of at the gist of it, like what a Facebook pixel is. I'll show how to install it. It is very simple. Once you kind of know what to do and where to go, it's really not difficult. You don't need like a developer or a programmer or anything like that. It's literally a copy paste type of thing, but you just need to know where you get your code from and then where you need to put it, right? All right. What's going on, Dylan? Good to see you from Kentucky. Love it. We got Eric from Florida. All right. Mackenzie, we got from New Jersey. All right. Love it. Lorena from Florida. All right. Good stuff. George is in the house. Love it, Sylvia. All right. Good stuff. Well, I'm going to share my screen here. Let's see if this works. I think this is the first time I've done a screen share on the live stream. So hopefully I don't break something. Let's see. Screen share. There we go. All right. Hopefully everybody can see that. I'm trying to keep up another tab here to see just, I know there's like a little bit of a delay, but it looks like it's working here from my end. So, all right. So real quick. So what I'm going to talk about, I'm going to show you from my perspective, like what I've done, and then you can relate this into your real estate sales business, however you see fit. So like, for instance, let me give you a simple example of a funnel. Let's say that you started your YouTube channel, right? And let me come over here. Let's go San Antonio, Texas living. I'm going to show one of my good friends' channel here. So let's say that you had your YouTube channel and you're getting views on your videos, right? Here you go, thousands of views, that's great, right? You're getting a lot of views. Well, what do you do with those views, right? Like what would be the next step to those views? And so really, I mean, it's a pretty simple funnel that you can set up. Literally on YouTube, this is the way that you would do it is, I mean, one, you can do like a call to action in your videos. And if you watch enough of my videos, you know that I do put a call to action at the very end of them. For somebody that wants to partner with me, I'll say, hey, if you're interested in partnering with me, head over to, this URL. And so I do like a verbal call to action. And then I also will do a call to action in my description, right? And so, and this is true for anything, right? Like you could do this on Instagram, Facebook, anything. I mean, just think of like how you need to direct somebody. But then here's the biggest thing I'll say about setting up a funnel, especially if you're new to it or starting to get into it. A lot of times we try and overcomplicate things, right? Like we try and have too many options, too many links. So in general, like the less links, the less things that you put out there, the more easily you'll be able to get that funnel to convert well, just because you're not having to track so many things. And so like in this case here, this funnel, you would basically, the only call to action, really the next step, outside of course, if you just contact or whatever somebody directly, is to set up your Zoom call, right? So, and this is a very simple one. Like you just go to Calendly and you set up a time that you can do a buyer or a seller consultation, right? Like that is at the very heart of it. Like that's a basic funnel right there. You got your way that you draw people in, and then you've got what the next step is, for them to take action with you. And that's really how simple a funnel can be. Now, you may decide that you want to go a little bit more advanced, right? And so, and for those of you that don't know about Calendly, it's a great service. If you don't have Calendly yet, I highly recommend it. I think it's like $10 a month or something. It's not very expensive. Yeah, like $12 a month. And basically, like I'll show you here, you can set up different events. Like, I've got some for, I had listing and buyer consultations. Now I've got like partner meetings and stuff like that. But what's cool is you hook it up to your calendar, so that way the times that are available for somebody to book are only the times that you're available. So they can only book with you when you're available. So for instance, if I viewed my booking page here, these are only the times that I'm available for somebody to actually, because I've got events on my calendar that already are in here, so it won't let them take up those times. But if they're available, then it will let them take it up. So it's like basically an automated calendar system. You don't need to have like, somebody that schedules your appointments and things like that. So, I mean, this is a great thing. This is always like at the end of my funnel, you'll usually have the ability to book a time with me. And so, but I do one step in the middle here where I have a landing page that I've built out, right? And so, hey, good morning. My mom's on the call. Good morning, Mom. And so you can see here that you've got, this is just straight to a Calendly. For me, mine is, let me actually I'll pull up my channel here so you can kind of see it. How handy. You need to have, here's what I'm trying to say though, is you need to have one page, that's like your go-to, like, for your business, for real estate sales, buyers and sellers, you need to have one page that like literally your sole focus, your sole goal is to get as many people to that page as possible. And then once you start getting people to that page, you want to start to try and optimize it, get, as many conversions as possible. And a conversion just means like they've taken the next action, right? Like they've taken the next step. And so like for me, my goal has always been, I want to get as many people to my partner page as possible, right? And so you can see here, if you come onto my deal here and, you want to partner with me at EXP, here's my link. Right. So like that's my deals. I want to get somebody to partner with me. Now, granted, I've got a few things that I'm into, right? So like, referrals, I take referrals. So I've got a little landing page for that. That one just goes straight to a Calendly. You can see here. Oh, no openings at the moment. All right. So let's see here. Oh, this message is only visible to me. All right. So that's something that I need to go look at. But like my partner page here we go. So like it sends people here. And so like my ultimate goal is to get as many people every single month, every single week, every single day to this page, right? So like you need to create something that, is relevant to your business. And typically a website is not that, right? A website is very distracting. Like on a website, like let me just show you my website. People can go to all sorts of things on your website, right? They're going to go to my income report. They're going to go check out my academy, my tools. They might learn a little bit about me, right? Like, and there's no real core focus. Whereas like with this landing page, there's really only one next step that they can do, right? Like they can tap here to apply now, fill out a form. That's it, right? That's the only thing that this page is going to do for them. But that's perfect. That's what I want. I want them to either, make a decision to go forward or not, right? Like that's going to basically, all this page is going to do is help me to select and find the people that potentially want to work with me, right? And so you need to do the same thing for your buyers and sellers. And this is actually, I set this up through ClickFunnels. It's pretty simple to set it up. There's a lot of programs though that you can create landing pages, and a lot of them, like, this is based on a template. But that being said, even with using a template, you're going to need to learn the platform a little bit, so you can kind of get your website to look how you want it to look. Because even if you're just filling out what they use, here I'll show you here like the back end of ClickFunnels, what it looks like for me. There's going to be some finagling you have to do. Like, I mean, literally, I spent probably, well, I've spent off and on probably 2 weeks creating just this one landing page, right, that you see here today. And that's with me having a lot of, knowledge and training on creating web pages and landing pages and stuff like that. But I did build it out myself, right? And so it definitely can be done. I didn't like hire anybody. I didn't have to take any courses. I mean, everything that I learned, I just kind of figured it out as I went. If I got stuck, and I didn't really know what to do next, I could Google it and YouTube it and find out what I needed to do. But nowadays, like with ClickFunnels especially, I mean, it is pretty simple to to come in here, and let's just say I wanted to edit this page here. I mean, it's like drag and drop, so like to get it exactly like fine tuned, sometimes that's where, some of the time takes, because like there'll be like little things and you're like, oh man, I just wish this gap was like a little bit bigger. And you're like, oh, how do I figure that out? And so like that's kind of some of the stuff that takes time. But to get like the big blueprint of this whole thing done, it's not very difficult, right? Like you can see here, like, I mean, if I wanted to like add a new thing, if I wanted to do like, or let's just say that like I wanted 3 of these instead of 2, right? I could just come up here to this row. I could say clone. And I can like drop this down here. There we go. Then obviously I'm going to want to change this text and change this picture. But you can see, I mean, it's really not like, I mean, it's pretty intuitive. It takes some getting used to, of course, but that's how this works, right? And so, and then like adding videos, same thing. Like if I wanted to come down here, let's just say I wanted to add a new row, and then within here, I just click add new element. And if I wanted to add a video, put a video in there, click on it. It's going to ask me, okay, well, where's the video coming from? Is it YouTube? Is it Vimeo? Right? Like all that kind of stuff. Or is it a custom embed, which, you probably won't do. You'll just upload your video to YouTube, make it unlisted, upload it to Vimeo, and then share the link right in there. That's, how I do my uploads for videos. But you can see there, like literally, I mean, I'm just, clicking through if you want to add different text or like headlines, subheadlines, paragraph text. I mean, it is like you can definitely create these things on your own. Some of the stuff takes a little bit of know-how. Like for instance, if like on this one here, right, like you see that background, how it kind of looks cool. It's like transparent. You got to come in here, click the settings. You've got, for me, like you come in, let's see, I wanted to, here's my image right here, my background image. And then if I wanted, like on this one here, I have it be black, but transparent. Here's your transparency slider. See, so like some of this little stuff is like, I mean, it seems easy, but if you've never used it, it's going to take you some time. If I wanted to make it like a white deal and then make that transparent, and then of course I would change the text to black, I could do that. So like that's how all of this stuff works. Now, hopefully, let me see if I can exit this without changing. Yeah, I don't want it to save those changes. Let's see, edit page. Let me make sure it didn't make any changes here. I don't think that it did. No, we're good. Okay. So you can see here, like that's how this works, right? And so, ClickFunnels makes it pretty simple to set up a simple landing page. And just so you know, like there's a difference between creating like a website and creating a landing page, right? Like I use WordPress to create my entire website, right? So like here's my website, and here's like the back end kind of dashboard on my website here. So you can see if I come in here, and if I wanted to create like different pages, like here's my home page for my website, my front page right here. It's so like once you learn ClickFunnels, or if you've learned WordPress, both of them, you'll see, a lot of similarities, because what you're ultimately doing is you're using what's called like a block editor. And so all of these, everything that you see on a website is typically made up of blocks, right? So like this whole thing is a block, right? And then you put blocks within blocks basically to create like the look that you want, right? And so, I mean, that's all you're basically doing. So even like a button would be like a block, right? So if I wanted to add, like in this particular case, if I wanted to add another button, I mean, you see it, like you can put plus, those little pluses are just any times you can add a block. So if I wanted to add a block and I wanted to add a button, I'd come in here and I'd say, I want a button, okay, an advanced button. And then boom, I create a new button. You fill out the settings that you need it to do. Like if I want that button to go a certain place or whatever, I put that link in here. And now I've got a button that if they click on it, will go to that link, right? Like it's that simple. It's not like, like creating a website today is not like it was, 20 years ago where you had to know coding and all sorts of stuff, right? So I just want to show you that like whether you're creating a website or you're creating a landing page, it is much easier now for you to be able to do yourself. And I mean, yeah, you can go and hire somebody, but I'll be honest, like, I mean, me being able to manipulate this stuff and do what exactly I want, I think, gives me much better results than, when you hire someone, if you don't know what you're doing, if you don't hire the right person, I mean, if you get the right person and and you're willing to pay some money and all this and that, then great. But for me, just being able to come in here and like, this is like the fourth iteration of my landing page, right? Because like I'm constantly trying to get better. I'm learning new things. Like, I mean, I'll show you here, my initial landing page of that looked like this, right? And it's not bad, but there was just different things that I wanted to do. Whoops. Let's see. Zone/Kyle Handy. Oh, here, let me pull up one of my, because I think now I took it down because I'm using my new one. But here, like, for instance, here's one of my agents pages, right? So like mine was the same thing. It just had my information. And like, and this is what the other one that I used looked like. And this is great. This one definitely works. It has a lot of the same things, but I was ready to kind of like change it up. I wanted to add a few different videos to mine, things like that. And so being able to just manipulate it and change it and knowing what you're doing, I think is really important. And then this was the second one. I had one before that I used to do as well. And, and that one was very basic, right? So they've gotten better over time. And it's, for me, I just like the ability to like know what I'm doing. So anyways, all right. So enough of that. That is like, so that's your landing page. Then ideally you want to get them to, fill out something. So, they're going to get in contact with you. And so for me, that's, I use ClickFunnels for that. If you want to build a website, that's where you're going to need to use WordPress basically. But anyways, all right. Let me go into the questions here. I see Jason asks, do you use KV Core at all or just your WordPress website? Great question. Yeah, so Jason, I do use my KV Core website. And for those of y'all that are wondering what that looks like, so this is the CRM side of it. And then let me show you the KV Core side of it. There we go. So this is my KV Core website. So, KV Core, guys, what that is it's a CRM provider for real estate agents. It's, very similar to, there's a few of them, FirePoint, Boomtown, well, you've got another one called Follow Up Boss, but with Follow Up Boss, you don't really get like a good front end website. You've got to pair it up with a website provider. Whereas like KV Core is an all-in-one. They're going to give you the website and then they're going to give you the back end, your database that talks with the front end, right? And so your question, Jason, is do I use it all? Yeah, I definitely, I mean, for real estate sales, I think you should use your WordPress website. The only thing that I would recommend if you're going to start creating content on it, like, so for instance, you can put a blog on your KV Core website. If I clicked on blog there, I don't put any content on my KV Core site. And the reason that is because I don't own this domain right now. You can see here, like my KV Core is on eXp Realty's domain, right? I'm using a subdomain, kylehandy.exprealty.com. So like if I were to leave EXP, if I were to not want to use KV Core, then I'm kind of, stuck, right? Like I literally, like all of the content that I would create, I mean, I could definitely copy and paste that over, but all of the SEO, the search engine optimization, any kind of organic traffic that I might have been getting from my website would all be, affected. I'd have to transfer all of that stuff over. And so what I would recommend if you're going to start using your KV Core website, which you should, before you start creating any kind of content on it. Like if you're just using KV Core the way it is as like a way that you can send leads to it, and you're not creating anything, you're not like, putting blog posts out there, or you're not like creating a lot of these like custom pages or anything like that, then you may not need to do this. You may not need to get like a vanity domain or an extra domain. But if you do want to do that, you can come over here to the marketplace, and you can see, like if I come over to, it's in here, vanity domain add-on, I would definitely purchase this. It's $11 recurring monthly. But what'll happen is like you can basically say, all right, I want this website to be on the domain that I own. So like, you could say, it's johnsmith.com, right? And if you went there, it's going to take you to your KV Core site, and you own johnsmith.com. And so therefore, if you were to ever, move from to a different brokerage, if you were to ever, stop with KV Core, you could, keep that domain and just transfer it to whatever the next CRM that you use is, transfer it to whatever the next brokerage that you use. And you would still, all of your rankings and organic stuff that you've created would all still stay the same. So if you're going to use that website, definitely consider that. But yeah, I mean, just using this for buyers and sellers, I think it's a fantastic website. I mean, you guys can see it. Like I didn't have to do anything to this. Literally, I mean, this was like I came, to EXP. I requested that they set up my KV Core site. You have to request it when you first join. It takes like 5 days or something. And then you get the login for it, and now you have access to all of your stuff, right? But now here's the issue, right? Here's the problem. With KV Core, this is still like a website, right? So again, if you're creating, let's say that you're doing YouTube, you need a landing page. There's a big difference between just sending somebody to your website and sending them to a landing page, right? Like if you send traffic on your YouTube, let's say that you're getting thousands of views on your YouTube channel, and then your call to action is to send them to just your KV Core website. The conversion on that is going to be so low. You know what I mean? Like if you send somebody, like if you sent 1,000 people to this, some of them will register as a lead, because that's what KV Core is. It's a lead generation site. So you can see here, like if they're, browsing properties and they browse enough of them, it's going to have a little pop-up like this, right? That asks for their email. And that's great, right? It's a lead generation form. You'll capture some people that way. But it's not as effective as creating like a specific landing page, something that the more targeted you can get, the better, right? So like if you know that you're creating a lot of YouTube videos and that's how you're getting a lot of your leads, your clients, you want to set up a landing page that speaks directly to that person. Like, hey, here, let me just give you an example. On Instagram, right? Like we all know that we've got an Instagram bio link. So let's go to Instagram and close out my story. I'll show you this. So like on Instagram, we all have bio links, right? Well, I created a specific page that if somebody was to click on that, it says, let's see, here we go. What's going on, Insta family? Like, so that way they know they're at the right place, right? So you could create a landing page that's specific to people that come from YouTube, and that the only next step for them is to set up an appointment with you, right? Like this is because this is a links thing. Like, a lot of people use like Linktree or whatever. Like I'm not trying to convert people right here. My deal is to give them the links that they wanted, right? So to give them more opportunities to see what I do. And so that's what this is for, right? And then they can see my blog, they can get them to all this stuff, right? But let's say that I wanted to do this for like my YouTube videos, and I wanted to speak to that audience. I'd say, hey, what's going on, YouTube audience. Obviously I probably wouldn't call them YouTube audience, but something, right? And maybe something that you call, your audience in the videos. And that way they know, first off, that they hit the right spot when they clicked that link. And then I would say like, hey, here's where we go from here. And I would tell them, kind of like what the next step would be if they want to work with me, or how they can, go about working with me. That's much more targeted than just sending them to, your KV Core site, and they'll be like, well, what the heck am I supposed to do next, right? Like, that there's a lot on here. And so like the more specific you can be, the better. And so, so definitely, that's where having ClickFunnels, can help. Is it necessary? No. I mean, you could go into KV Core And I mean, you can build out like what I'm talking about within KV Core. And again, I don't know, a lot of this is pretty, if you had Boomtown, you could probably do the same thing. If you had Firepoint, you could probably do the same thing. So some of this can work on more than just KV Core. I'm just using KV Core because that's what I've got, and I know that it works. But like for instance here, so if I go to Web and IDX and I go to my website content, let's see here, and I go to custom pages right here, you could create a new page. And this is where the benefit of like a ClickFunnels or a dedicated landing page builder would come in handy. No pun intended. You could like literally create, your title and category. You could say, hello YouTube, right? Something like that. And you could create something custom for them that's on your KV Core website. But the difference between this and ClickFunnels, you got a lot more ways to make it look better, right? Like this is pretty basic. It's like text. You can add like images, but it's not going to be like a block editor like how it is on ClickFunnels and or on WordPress. And so it's going to be kind of a basic page, but you could, come in here and you could create a funnel. I don't even know. Doesn't look like you can create a form on here. You probably could, because it looks like here you can put source, let's see, source code. Yeah, see, so you can put code on here, which, I mean, this definitely gets more advanced, but if you wanted to create some kind of like a custom form, you could do that and then insert the HTML code straight into here. But I'm not going to go into that today because that's going to be a little bit more. But you can create a page to where, like I've created here, free buyer or seller consultation, right? This one just goes to my referral link right there. Or like here, this free gift. Like I just created this just as an example, free gift. Here's your free gift. But this could say something different. Now the problem though, and this is where you should know as far as a landing page goes, like even using this custom page that I've got within KV Core, I still personally wouldn't want to use it, just because of the fact that there's still way too many options for them. Even if you kind of direct them in this little area here, where it says, here's your free gift, and you kind of tell them like what they need to do next, they still could get distracted by all this other stuff on here, right? There's a million different links that's going to potentially take them away from making that decision to take the next step with you. And so like, I like it when there's literally only like, you decide to move forward or you don't, right? And so that's kind of my thought about landing pages. But there's a lot of other landing page builders. If you just Google landing page builder, I'll tell you some of the other good ones. So let's see here. So ClickFunnels, of course. You got Unbounce. I've used them. Very good landing page builder. Instapage. There we go. This one is really good as well. And then what is the other ones? You got Instapage. You got Instapage versus, lead pages. That's the other one. So you got lead pages, Instapage, Unbounce, ClickFunnels. They're all going to have, different pricing and stuff like that. But if you wanted to create really nice looking landing pages pretty easily, like a lot of those services that I just mentioned will have templates that you can kind of tap into right away. That's what I would do. And I would start just learning how to build out a landing page, because a landing page is a lot easier than building out a website, because landing page is like basically like a page, right? And then with like ClickFunnels, you might create a series of pages, which ends up building like a funnel. But at the end of the day, like having a landing page is so important when you're creating content. Like you don't want to create content without having a good landing page. And then over time, what you can do is you can start to track how effective is my landing page. And ideally, you want to get like 20% conversion on your landing page. And I know that sounds weird, but like, let's just say that you had 5 people from YouTube click over to your landing page. That means you should get one of them that takes the next action with you, fills out a form or sets up an appointment, right? Like that's kind of the goal that I think that you can do within real estate. Now, conversion rates are all different with, depending on what you're trying to do, but I've seen agents, I think it's possible to get 20% conversion on your landing page. If you're at 10%, that's still really good. 2%, 3%, you probably can improve it. 5%, you're getting there. 10%, it's pretty good. So, but you always can, be testing. Like if you notice, and that's one of the reasons that I use ClickFunnels, is there's something called A/B split testing. And this is something that I didn't do for a long time. And I think that it actually hurts. But like, for instance, here, So I got, I've got my main page, right? My main landing page, and I can track how many people convert that hit that page. But then I'm always running a split test, right? So here, I need to put 50-50 traffic there because I think when I edited it, it kind of messed with my split test. But here, so then what you want to do with a split test, ClickFunnels makes it really easy. You create your main landing page, and then you say, I want to start a split test, and then it creates a variation, which in the beginning, the variation is exactly the same as this one. And then what you want to do with a split test is you want to test to like one thing at a time. Don't like change 10 different things on the landing page, because then you won't know, what worked, right? Like what was effective. So change one thing. So like the only thing that I've changed on my split test is like, if you come on to my landing page here, it's gonna, here's one headline, and now I'm checking a different headline on this one. Just partner with me at EXP, right? So this one says, want to take your real estate business to a whole new level. This one says partner with me. And that's as simple as a split test can be. But you always want to be split testing, even some of the simplest things. So like headlines, buttons, maybe, if you do have different videos that you want to share with people, like, my main video here, if I eventually wanted to check and see, maybe I can make a more convincing video or something, right? Like always want to be split testing as much as possible to see if you can improve that conversion ratio over time. That's how you get to that 20% conversion ratio. You might start at 2%, right? But then if you create a split test and you test one thing, you let that test run for a little while. Once it's run and you can see, is it doing better or is it doing worse? If it's doing better, you declare it as a winner, and then you use that as your control, and then you create a new variation of that one with something that's different, and then you try and improve that, right? And so you're always trying to get it better and better and better, because here's the thing, like once you start getting a lot of traffic, to your YouTube channel, which hopefully you will, right? If you're creating content regularly and you got, hundreds or thousands of views, a month, even just a small percentage, like from 2 to 5% or from 5 to 8% conversion ratio, you're talking, if you had 100 people coming to that page, that's 3 more leads. If you get 1,000 people come into that page, that's 30 new leads, right? Just from 5% to 8%. And so like those little percentages do add up, especially over time. So, all right, so that's enough kind of chatting about landing pages. Let me get to our questions here. All right, I got a good one here. Let's see. I'm going to see if I can add this to the broadcast here. There we go. All right, so Chris Lee says, what's the best way to rank your website higher than the competition in your market? Great question, Chris. All right, so what I'm going to talk about here is, so this is going to go into like blogging, right? Like in creating content, that helps you to get ranked. So like here's the thing. Most people, when we're talking about just ranking your website, your website isn't something that you like, your core website, your homepage is not something that you necessarily need to focus on ranking, right? So like, because like my core website is kylehandy.com. So when we're talking about like, how do we rank that page, it's already going to rank number one. If somebody goes to Google and they type Kyle Handy, of course that's going to rank, right? Like is number one. So typically what we're talking about is like, how do we rank your page for a certain keyword, higher than others? And with that, it's going to all come down to, your keyword research. So identifying an opportunity, things that people are searching for, and then optimizing that particular page around that particular term. Because the way Google works, it's not about like, all right, let me try and explain this in a good way where it's not going to be too confusing. Like you can have like a brand new website but create a piece of content like a blog post or something. And that blog post is almost like its own website, right? So like the strength of whatever you create for that website or that blog post can potentially rank number one, even if you have nothing else going on your website, right? And so how optimized you can be for that particular term that you're going after is very important. And so here's the thing. To rank number one in the beginning, what you really need to do though is you need to make sure that you're going after terms that a brand new website can actually rank for. So the way that you do that is, and I've talked about this tool before, is you need to find like a keyword research tool, because just because, let's say, people are searching for homes for sale in San Antonio, right? Like we know people are searching for that term, right? Because the way that we know that is if I were to just put that in like the auto in the here we go. So here's all the terms people are searching for. Homes for sale in San Antonio, homes for sale in San Marcos, home for sale in San Antonio with a pool. So these are all terms that you might want to go and try and rank for. But the problem is, let me move this down a little bit. The problem is you need to make sure that that's not like a super competitive term, because as a brand new website, it's going to be hard for you to rank for those terms. And so what you need to do is you need to build up a backlog of terms that you have ranked for that may be easier, so that way your website can build what's called domain authority. It'll build credibility, essentially. So you can see here, like my domain rating is 35. I've built that up over time. When you start out, it starts out at like 0, right? Like here's a website that I don't really do anything more to right now. It's at 0.2, right? So you have to build up your domain rating, and you build that up by getting, by putting articles out there, creating content, all that type of stuff. And when your domain rating gets higher and higher and higher, you can go after more competitive terms. But in the beginning, you need to use a tool like Ahrefs or something like that, where, like for instance, if I was to go in here and type in homes for sale in San Antonio and search that up, there we go. Hard. It tells me 49 hard. Like if you're a new website, it doesn't matter if you make the very best blog post about homes for sale in San Antonio, it is not going to rank most likely in the, number 1 on Google. I mean, you're competing against Zillow, Realtor.com, Redfin, Trulia, Rocket Homes, like all of these top websites, right? And it tells you here, like the number 1 deal on, Realtor.com, their domain ranking is a 91. So I'm only a 35, right? And I've been doing, my blogs for a long time. I won't even compete against this type of stuff. Like that's too challenging. Like it's not even going to happen, right? And so that's where you got to get a little bit more creative. So then I saw one on there that said with a pool. Let's check that out. There it goes. Homes for sale in San Antonio with a pool. This one's 8, easy, right? So you could create a blog post. You still want to create a good blog post. 8 doesn't mean that it's a freebie, like you're just going to put something up there and it's going to happen. But it definitely means that if you come in here, you can see here that even on the first page of Google, usually you have 10 results. Well, here's one that's on here with a domain rating of 1, right? That they've cracked the first page of Google. Doesn't mean they cracked number 1. You got Zillow up there, you got Realtor.com. So you may not still get, even if you put a good blog post up there, something that's going to give you number 1 ranking, but you definitely can crack. You could, probably take this ranking out. If you put a good blog post out there, you could definitely surpass this one and get yourself on the first page of Google. So whatever, so sometimes you got to get creative, right? So like I would put, San Antonio real estate. And that's why keyword research is so important. Because if I come in here and then I come and I say matching terms on Ahrefs, now this gives me a lot of different ideas, right? That I can kind of go after. And then I can even filter this by keyword difficulty. And let's say that I only wanted to do ones with a max of a 10 difficulty. Now I'm starting to see, okay, here's some stuff, right? And I mean, literally there's pages and pages. Well, this one only has 2 pages, but like sometimes you can go after ones that like, I mean, you just be scrolling through pages and looking for opportunities, looking for ideas. And so like, that's kind of one of the things that you can do to find opportunities. And this right next to it, volume, tells you how many searches per month are potentially happening for that search term. And I go after search terms that have like 0 to 10, right? Like these ones down here, like I'll go after those. I'm not worried about it. And so like anything that has 20, 30, 40, 50, those are definitely, fair game. Like, you want to kind of start it at the top and go after the ones that are going to give you the best bang for your buck in the beginning. But even this, like real estate jobs, San Antonio, like, I mean, you could create a blog post about that and try and tie it into your people that might want to work with you. San Antonio, Florida real estate. I don't know what necessarily people are looking for there. Sometimes like I'll see a thing and I won't even know what it means. Like why would somebody even be searching for that? So then I'll go into Google and I'll search it myself and see like what comes up. Like what are people, interested in for that, and then I'll create a blog post about it, right? It always doesn't apply, but so that's where it is. It starts with keyword research, Chris. To answer your question, it starts with keyword research, making sure that you can actually even win the space, even if you do a good blog post. And then it comes down to actually creating a good blog post that that does well, and that actually can is SEO optimized. Which, like, for instance, here, let me show you here. So like what I mean by that is, like, once you're creating blog posts, leave this. There is a plugin that pretty much every WordPress website uses called Yoast. And what that does is it checks your article for SEO, right? So like, let me go to one of my blog posts here. 14 best real estate branding ideas. Okay. And then I come over here, I scroll down to the bottom. Here's my Yoast SEO. It tells me that for SEO, it's a green happy face. That's what I always like. Readability, green happy face. That means that it's written in a way that people like to read it. And so I come in here and I can see, all right, the title is good. You don't want it too long of a title. Like if you go, have a title that's too long, it'll tell you, don't do that long of a title. If you need to put a meta description in there that's relevant to what the article is about. And then if you click on this little down arrow here, this will tell you everything, like making sure that, the text length is certain, good text length, making sure that your key phrase is in the slug. And the slug, what that is basically just like the link that people would use, right? So like on this blog post, it would be kylehandy.com/14 best real estate branding ideas, right? And so it's making sure that my key phrase that I'm trying to rank for, real estate branding, is in the slug, which it is, real estate branding. So Yoast is going to tell you to make sure that your article, like what you've created, is it, have you done the best job that you can to make sure that Google sees it in a way that is, they're going to want to rank it, right? And so that's another part of making sure that your article will get to, or your page will get to either the top spot or at least on the first page of Google. And then, the last part of it, and this is where Google, they don't know, like they'll know if it meets these types of things, which typically if it meets these, that means it's on topic, it's going to be relevant to some extent. But then the last part is up to the user, right? The user experience. Like if you do something and you just like stuff keywords in it and it's like optimized, but it's not good, Google's going to know that as well, because they're going to see like, okay, somebody goes to that page, but then they click off in 2 seconds because it's not relevant or it's not good, right? Versus somebody goes to this page and they stay on it for, 2 minutes, that chances are that's a better page, right? And then they rank you amongst all the other pages that are out there. And so one of the things that you can do is, if like, let's say that this is a, I'll just use this as the example, real estate branding, right? So like if I was going after this one, I would see what is already out there, so if I did that and I look at, pass up the ads, and then I come here, so I've got, the close, this is another kind of real estate blog. I can see like, what did they do? Like, okay, cool. Like I can kind of see how they've done theirs. I can go to the next one. Oops. I can go to this next one here, kind of look at what they've done. Great, right? And then like I can take all of this stuff and I can say, well, what can I do to make it a little bit better that's going to make somebody want to stay more, right? And so anyways, so that's how, you can kind of do that, is look at already what's out there, look at their headlines, try and see like, when you search for that term, are a lot of people looking for lists? Like, this one's 13 examples, 170 branding ideas. So like 2 out of the 10 that are not ads are list posts, which is not a lot, but some of them you'll do a search and like all 10 of them are lists. And that tells you like, hey, I probably need to create a list. And I'm sorry if you can't see that. I can see that, it looks like it's covering it up, but hopefully you can kind of get the idea of what I'm talking about. And so yeah, so that's kind of how that works there. You're going to want to make sure though that, your post is not just, SEO friendly, but it also is good, because, that's what's going to get people on it and staying on it. And so you can check that too, like in your analytics, if you have Google Analytics installed on your page. And guys, I'm sorry, sometimes if I go on a tangent and you're like, I hope this is helpful to actually like see all of this stuff in practice of how it actually works. But sometimes it might be a little overwhelming. So like sometimes you might just like necessarily, not tune out, but you might like, don't worry about like, oh, I don't have all this stuff set up right now. That's okay. Like you can set all this stuff up over time. It's not built in a day, right? But like this is the stuff that you want to eventually be able to track and know about. But like for instance, for me, if I come over here to my site content and I go to like look at all of my pages, I can tell average time on page. So like this particular page, people spend 4 minutes and 58 seconds. That's a good amount of time. And this page here, they spend 9 minutes and 20 seconds on this page. And here's the cool thing, that for me, that increased my time on page as just like a little bit of a little helpful deal for you guys. Oops, here, I don't know if I can click it like that. Looks like it says that, let me see here, advanced, I want to go to that. It's saying that, oh, because it has, there we go. All right, so like one of the things that I've done on my blog posts, which helps my my average duration, is like you create a blog post and then create a video. Or if you're already doing the YouTube videos, make sure they're embedded, because as they're like, if they watch this video on here, well, that's, they're still staying on that page. So that's increasing their average time on page, which then tells Google like, oh my gosh, this is a good page, right? So like that's a little, trick, a little hack that you can do, is if you're creating videos, that's going to keep them on your page longer. And if you don't have videos, let's say maybe you don't want to do video, right? You just want to blog. I mean, you can embed other people's YouTube videos on your deal. You'll be helping them out, their YouTube channel, but you'll be helping your blog out, right? So they don't have to be your videos. They could be somebody else's. You can embed different videos as long as the YouTube video is embeddable, which most are, right? So unless the creator specifically says like, I don't want my video embedded on people's pages, then you can't, but most of them are embeddable. And so anyways, but I could come in here, and that's what's kind of cool about this is, let me go back to my all pages, is like once you've created enough pages, I can come in here and let's just say I wanted to like look at every single one of my pages, and I can sort it by like average time on page. So like, if I wanted to come down here and start here, like, all right, so like what are some of the pages that are actually getting traffic, like some of these that only get like 3 or 1, I'm not too worried about those. But like if I'm getting pages, like here's 352, 458, that's good. But like, let's see, if I come a little further, 77, oh, that's my partner page. Let's see, 32, 30, so like 33. So best planner for real estate agents is only getting 24 seconds, right? And why is that, right? I might need to figure that out. If I click on it, let me see here. Oops, let me go, yeah, let me open it up here. Best planner. Yeah, there you go. I was going to call it, but I didn't want to call it and be wrong. But I was going to say, I bet you I don't have a video on this page, which I don't, right? Like it's basically, you come here and, it's like it's an affiliate page. So like people can click on these links here to buy the best planner for real estate agents. But that's it. So they usually either come here, they see what it's about, they might click to buy it now and get taken to that page, and that's it. But I don't have anything that would hold their attention longer than that, right? So that's why that one's not taken up. So if I wanted to do something better, I might want to add my video, which I actually do have a video about the best planner for real estate agents. So that's going to be something that I add onto my list that I need to do after this this call. But so you can kind of see how all of that stuff works, and so that all plays into the question as far as how to get your website to rank. I mean, there's quite a few factors that go into it, Chris. But when you're strategic about it, it definitely is possible. It starts with being strategic in the beginning and making sure you're going after terms that you can rank for as a new site. And then as your site starts to get more established, you can go after harder and harder, more difficult keywords. But yeah, so there you go. All right, let's see what else we got. Aside from your EXP website, here, let me take this question down here. Let's put this one on the broadcast. Mackenzie says, aside from your EXP website, what is the name of your site that once someone clicks on it, it will reroute to your EXP site? So I guess I'm not sure I understand that question, Mackenzie. Maybe you can ask it a little different way. But like, so aside from my EXP website, so I guess maybe you're talking about my KV Core website. What is the name of your site that once somebody clicks on it, it will reroute them to your EXP site? So like, yeah, I mean, if they would have to go to kylehandy.exprealty.com if they want to get to my site. I used to have, back when I was still like really, really active selling real estate in San Antonio, I still had my kylehandy.com site. And then just up in one of the top bars, I had like, buy San Antonio homes or something. I've since taken that off, like, because now my core business is a little bit different. I'm mostly focused on working with agents. So I'm not as focused on trying to, on servicing the buyers and sellers side. So I've taken that off. But usually what happened is when they clicked on buy San Antonio real estate, that would just forward them to this page, right? So you can kind of set that up if you wanted to. That's definitely a possibility. I've done that for a long time. That way, like when you're creating content on your main page, that's still your domain that you own. But then if you want them to go to your KV core site, so that way they can see properties and whatnot, it's that you can do that. You can forward them there. So that would be an option. All right, let's see. I remember having 46%, Evan says, I remember having 46% opt-in rate on one of my landing pages, but that was a few years ago, not as easy now. Yeah, absolutely. It's especially not as easy if you are doing paid traffic, like if you're doing, ads on Facebook or Google, but if they're like coming from your YouTube channel or from a blog post or something where they're already experiencing the value that you're giving to them, and you're not just some random person, your conversion rates will typically be a good bit higher. So to use Ahrefs, let's see, you must have a blog first. Nope. You can actually sign up for Ahrefs without a blog. In fact, I mean, that's kind of what I would recommend, to get Ahrefs first. That way you can start doing your keyword research right away and build up, like a list of the next 15, 20, 30, videos and or blog posts that you want to create using Ahrefs, and then go to town creating them. So you don't necessarily have to have the blog first. Once you have your blog set up, Ahrefs is nice because it gives you some insight about your blog, right? So like you can do this thing called a site audit. And with the site audit, let me click on one of my most recent site audits. It tells you extra things like, that do affect your website. So for instance, like if you have broken pages, like pages that send people to like the wrong link or a link that doesn't work, you can come in here and it'll tell you. That way you can improve. If you're missing like, if you're missing stuff, like if you're missing a meta description or, all this type of stuff. So like it will help you once you have your blog post, but it's not necessary. You can start using just like the keyword research side of it first. And then eventually, track your website as you're building it. So that's something that you can do there. Ahrefs, like I said, I think on the call last week, it is one of the more expensive tools, compared to some of the others. You can also use KW Finder. I've used that in the past. And this one's a little bit cheaper. You can see here, like Ahrefs will run you, I think, $79 a month. So you could come here, get like the basic, KW Finder and get for $29.90. You could get, I think, let's see, what's the other one? Ubersuggest. That's another good one. And I think there's a version that's kind of free for Ubersuggest. You just have to like create an account on it. So you might start there and just and create it for free. But then there's like a upsell. They'll, like once you have it, to get some of the full functionality, you're gonna have to like pay for it, but it's still not like super expensive. Let me see here, compared to like Ahrefs, like $29 a month. So it's still relatively, inexpensive. And then the other one is SEM Rush is another one. So there you go. Yeah, this one here is the same kind of way. A lot of people use it. This one's more expensive. This one's up there with like Ahrefs though. So it's pretty pricey, but it is good. I like Ahrefs because it does all sorts of stuff. So if you're advanced and you've already got your blog and all that kind of stuff, then Ahrefs might be for you. If you're just getting started, you could definitely start with one of these smaller tools. I used KW Finder for probably a year and a half before I switched over to Ahrefs. So it's just up to you with what you need. The one thing I do like about Ahrefs that I don't know that you can do on other tools is like the ability to, like for me, if I wanted to take, let's just say a blog, well, let's just take my blog, right? So like if I was going to come up here and so if anybody wants to duplicate what I've done for real estate agents, this is the blueprint, right? You come in here, you type in, kylehandy.com, search that domain. And then over here on the left, you could see here, you can come over here to like top pages. And you could do this for any site, right? Like this isn't just because I own kylehandy.com. It's not, it's showing me this. You can do this literally for any site. I can see like, all right, here's Kyle's top pages, right? So like if I was going to create something, if I wanted to recreate something, I would want to start with, a lot of these pages here because these are the pages that, that do very well on his page, right? And you could do this for any site. So like any site in your niche, in your market that you respect, that you like, and you want to maybe, duplicate, like if they're showing up all the time, you're like, man, if I could only show up like that, this is how you could do it, right? You could come in here and then boom, it gives you a lot of the ideas for some of the posts that you might need to go after and the keywords that you can go after, right? So that's one way to do that. Cool. So you can see here, guys, I hope that, obviously I'm super transparent with my business. I hope that it helps just seeing that. I'm an abundance mindset person, so I'm not worried about sharing and telling you my secrets. Like literally that's what this is all about. I believe though that because I work so hard that, I can just outwork it, and keep putting my work out there and it's going to do well. So even if there's other people that come in and try and do the same thing, we all have different niches, different people that are going to align with us. And so that's why I'm all about helping and seeing where it all goes. And I think that if you do that, that's how you get the win, right? And versus like not sharing anything, trying to hold yourself close to the vest. For me, I felt like, by doing this, I think it's definitely the way to go. Let's see here. All right. If I'm looking for it and I can't, okay. All right, perfect. Mackenzie I guess we answered your question. So perfect. All right, guys. Well, hey, I don't see any other questions. It looks like I think I got to all of them. I appreciate everybody who was on the call today. We actually had more. I was looking at the viewers. We had more people this week than we did last week, so it's growing. So that's awesome. Make sure to give this video a like though while you're still on here, and definitely come back next week and bring some questions. I hope that I'm always willing to share and show you things, but I also want this call to be about you guys and answering your questions. And it can be, anything. It could be anything to do with, digital marketing and, and content creation, optimization, all that kind of stuff. And I'll show you it firsthand, or it could also just be more real estate related. Like, how do you do a listing appointment? How do you, yeah. Oh, and Chris, I'm sorry. Hey, you know what, Chris, you're still on the call. Let me show you. And I talked about it, the Pixel. I got distracted real quick. All right. This is for you guys on the Pixel before we wrap this up, because I can do this in like 3 minutes. I'm going to show you, screen share, how you do the Pixel. All right, so here we go. So if you're specifically on KV Core, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to open up the CRM side of it. And then on Facebook, you need to make sure that you have a Facebook business page to do your Pixel. All right, so I'm going to come over here. I'm going to go to my, here we go to Ad Manager. I'm going to close that out. And go to my business tools. So if you see here, so I go to so this is your business manager settings. So you have to have a Facebook business account or a business page, and then you need to make sure you have an ads account, like an ad, so you can come to your ads manager. Then you click on events manager. Okay. And you can see here, I've got a couple different pixels set up. Here's one of them. I think this is under, let me go to this one here. I've got 2 different ad accounts. So here we go. So here's my pixel right here, one of them. And so what you'll do is, one, you can, if you're starting brand new, you got to create a new pixel. And I think, let me see here. There we go. So yeah, you'd say add connected data sources. You'd connect the web. You'd create a web one. I'm not going to do it because I've created way too many pixels. And once you create them, you cannot delete them. But I'll show you, once you create one, it's going to ask you like what the website is. So I just put kylehandy.com, and then it's going to give you code. For mine, I've already got the code, right? And I'll show you here. If I go to my pixel, so that's my pixel there. I can copy that to clipboard, but that's not what you need. What you need is the actual code. So if you already have the pixel and you need to go back and get it, if you go to Manage Integrations, and then you click on Add to Another Website, and you say Install Code Manually, it's going to give you code. I don't want to click on that, because if I give everybody, if I open it up as my code and somebody watches this back later, they can actually like manipulate it. So I don't want to mess with that. But literally, if you just click this button, it's going to have like code that goes right, it'll be a box. You just copy it. And then you come back over to your KV core, you go to web and IDX, you go to your website settings. And if you scroll down in the general, right? Scroll down, let's see here. It's going to say, yeah, there we go. Okay. I don't want to go too much further. You can see there at the very bottom, right here, where it says custom header. That's where you're going to paste it. So I don't want to scroll any further because then that'll show the whole pixel code, right? But literally, you'll just, copy it from the Facebook side, right? From over here, or when you're setting it up, it's going to give it to you right when you set it up. And then you're going to paste it right over here in your custom header. And even if you're not going to do anything with it right away, like if you're like, oh my gosh, this is beyond me, like I'm not ready to, to do the, to start retargeting, because that's the goal behind why you're going to do the pixel, is you eventually want to run ads to that audience. If you're not even going to do that yet, it's still beneficial to put this in there, to have that code in there, because let's say 30 days from now, you learn about it, you want to do it. Well, now you at least have all the data from the people that have been to your site in the last 30 days, and you'll already have an audience created. Whereas if you want to wait to install this pixel code to when you actually want to start doing your retargeting, then, and you put the code in, you're not going to have an audience built up in right away when you want to start doing those ads. So, even if you put this in here, it's not going to do anything different to your page. All it's going to do is, it's like happens in the background, right? So like, in the way that you can test it is there's a little browser extension called the Facebook Pixel Helper. I would download that extension, right? Like if you're on Google Chrome, you can download that extension. And then what'll happen is you can go to the website, to your website, and you see here where there's like a numbers that comes up on this. It tells me, so Facebook Pixel, this one is on, this Facebook Pixel's on, this Facebook Pixel's on. So there's 3 pixels that are firing right now. You only need one. Don't get too worried about that. But let's just say you wanted to make sure that your pixel. Let's see here. Let me go to. So mine is 3714. Actually, no. My one for KV Core is 7904. So if I came over here and I look, there we go. So it's this right here, 7904. That pixel code is firing on this page, or on this. So then you know that you have it set up properly.